Welcome back. What's happening? Another episode of the Squad Show. You got me, Luke Inman, at Luke_Spinman. On today's episode, we discuss the quarterback drama, plus the number one matchup this week versus the Philadelphia Eagles.
I'm Luke Braun of Locked On Vikings, and I have the stat that's going to make you feel real good about this matchup.
Hey, this is Arif Hasan with Wide Left Out Football. I have the knife that's going to make Luke Braun feel real bad about this matchup.
Skol! It's the Viking Squad. Everything Minnesota Vikings, every week. Breaking down all the big hits and game-changing plays from the land of 10,000 lakes. The way only the Locked On Podcast Network can. It's time to gear up. The Viking Squad Show starts now.
Third grade spelling contest. Knife got me. Knife. Knife.
Wow, man, that's crazy.
Still stings. What's happening? Back at it. Another episode of the Squad Shows. The Vikings prepare for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles this Sunday. Noon
Still
kickoff.
stings.
Back at it. We're off the rails. We're off the rails.
Fifth grade, I got by Kaleidoscope. Still can't spell it.
Dude, I got eliminated. We got to do this right now. I got eliminated.
This is ESPN
grade.
Sports. This is
It's on Classic. Sometimes it's on the Ocho.
For the premium.
Sorry, Sam.
So the Sklar Brothers coverage of the script spelling bee has been legendary in my mind for ages. But anyway, so in fifth grade, I got eliminated on buffaloes because I didn't put an E in the plural. And my friend's dad was watching and pulled out a dictionary, which, like, I can't believe you brought a dictionary to a spelling bee. That rules.
That's awesome.
And walks up to the judges and explains that actually buffaloes without an E is an acceptable plural and I should be put back in. But this took 3 rounds. So I got to skip 3 rounds of the spelling bee and I got put back in, which was awesome. And it's how I qualified to, like, all city or whatever, because I wanted the school because I got the skip. I would have crashed out on dietitian because I didn't realize there was a C at the end and I got to skip it. So
that's fantastic. How did that journey end? How did that journey end?
They don't put an asterisk on the trophy.
Who got the cup?
I think fifth grade. Yeah. So I got to all city and I got like 3rd, which in North Dakota is like not enough to do more than that.
Okay. Do you want to talk about it or
no?
We could talk football.
Yeah, let's talk football. Vikings preparing for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles this Sunday. Noon kickoff back at home at the bank. Glad you're with us. We're on the Locked On Vikings YouTube channel. You can always find all the audio over on the Locked On Vikings podcast feed, wherever you find your podcasts. Fun show lined up today. What to make of KOC, Kevin O'Connell's comments regarding J.J. McCarthy and his timetable to return. The number one matchup to watch this Sunday against the Eagles. It's also Thursday. That means we got Ron Johnson stopping by to give his hot takes as well. Let's just jump right into it. You know, yesterday at the podium, I don't know if you guys saw it. I'm sure you did. I felt like we got some shades of like Bill Belichick, Mike Zimmer-ish. You know, KOC was kind of short up there. He was a little maybe snippy. It felt like some frustration, perhaps knowing that, all right, here come this gauntlet of questions he's going to have to answer about the quarterback situation for the next 22 minutes. But, the one that kind of kicked everything off was from Judd, and he said, quote, where do things stand as far as your starting quarterback this Sunday? And he said, quote, they stand in the same place they did Monday, end quote. So is this just your classic, coach speak, mind games, trying not to tip your hand to the opponent while maybe in the back of their mind they already got a great idea who's going to start this Sunday? Or do you guys think that they're truly taking this day by day? It's kind of a wait and see approach.
I think with Judd's question, the timing of that presser, there had not been practice since the last presser. So it was a weird, I get it. You got to ask
the timing of it.
If you don't ask the question every,
you got to.
I guess you just have to ask it every single day, even if nothing has changed.
Right.
I guess that's just how this works. But that makes sense. They haven't done anything. Why would anything have changed? They had an off day since the last time we talked.
But I will say it does feel better that he was snippy with at least one other person, right?
I was going to ask you part 2 of that. Any redemption or validation knowing you're not the only one?
Told you.
I would love to hear the theory either on air or off air, but
on air, and it exherrates you.
Fantastic.
So, and it sort of was corroborated by the Matt Freese article that he put out about the Wentz McCarthy thing on Wide Left. But you asked about rollouts, right? This was in London after the Dublin game. You asked about
after the London game.
After the London game.
Yeah.
Asked about moving the pockets more, right? And what the schematic which I thought was like a kind of a softball too. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like 100% Kevin O'Connell shouldn't have reacted that way, but he like shut you down really hard. And my thought was, Carson Wentz can only run so many concepts, which is understandable because he's only been in the offense for a month, right? But
Joshua
also,
Dobbs invented new concepts on the fly. I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, he's not. Well, Wentz is no rocket scientist. Okay, what are your standards? But like, it's pretty clear, and Freese notices too that like the offense had to be simplified quite a bit. It had to. There's a lot less diversity and a lot less complexity in the play calls because and they're calling more universal concepts like 3-level read rollout. So in addition to helping to protect your really bad backup line, did they call rollouts because Carson Wentz can't read anything else? If so, if I'm Kevin O'Connell, yeah, I'm not answering that question.
I mean, okay, I gave him an answer to you. It's actually from the perspective of like a journalist, not a wonderful question, but I didn't really care about that. I was more, I just
set it up pretty well. Yeah.
But like,
the foundation.
But like, I was like, hey, is it maybe because of the offensive line, defensive line? I gave him that. I gave him a lot. I didn't have to be like, hey, so is the new quarterback kind of... No, but
then he would have had to like disparage the backup lineman too. Like I guess he never wants to do that, so he just like shut it down. Like, that's my theory. Is he just didn't want to like accidentally.
It's so easy, and he's done this before. It's so easy to get around disparaging the backup lineman because all you have to say is, hey, we gave them a lot of new challenges. They performed really extraordinarily well. And in order to kind of help them in that task, we moved the pocket a little bit because we know that, on the move, they'll have a little bit more advantages than off the move because we're always looking to find ways to advantage our offensive linemen, whether or not, it's the starting left tackle or a guy that grabbed off the practice squad or something like that. It's easy to come up with that kind of answer. And while I understand that like most coaches can't always do it, Kevin O'Connell is really good at that. So I was really surprised, but hey, the snippiness has continued apace since then. And I understand where this new snippiness comes from. I think I'm a lot more sympathetic about it. But at the same time, I think some of it might also just be like, this season is not turning out the way he wanted. And I think that like overall level of stress, which he's always stressed. They're all stressed. All coaches are. But I think that overall level of additional stress is inducing kind of maybe less gregariousness when he's answering these questions, right? Because like when Sam Darnold was in the middle of the season, had that bad game against the Jaguars, had the bad game against the Rams, they at least won one of those two games, and also like we're having an amazing season, right? And so it's a little bit easier for him to be like, no, Sam Darnold is killing it. What are you talking about? And just like lie to us instead of whatever's happening now.
Do you guys feel like we're totally in the dark right now when it comes to who's going to start? Or is there information out there? If I made you, go out and make an educated guess, things like what I'm kind of pointing to is things like he said JJ isn't going to start till he gets a full week of practice. Well, he was limited yesterday.
Rumors about JJ's gate at an apple orchard.
You're always locked in, man. I love it.
Yeah, that's tapped in.
Well, that did happen. He went to an apple orchard, and I think it was on Reddit. Was like,
yeah, I was about to say this sounds like a Reddit story. This is perfect.
This was a Reddit story. I don't know if I buy it. He was at an apple orchard. There was like an Instagram pic. Like that part is true.
Of the gate.
It could be gate.
Yeah. No. Okay. So we've got that, but here's the thing. I've seen quarterbacks like. Actually, if this is the funniest thing, Xavier Rhodes only walked with a limp, and he largely was not injured unless he got burned, right? And so
Cedric Griffin did that at the end as well, and I couldn't figure that out.
Yeah, so sometimes you just walk with a limp because that's what you do normally. But when you're like locked in, maybe you got a little bit of Toradol, maybe a little bit of adrenaline running through you, the limp disappears and you're fine. Sometimes. So it may not matter, but like I am curious about like the phrasing from last week about like the full week of practice, and then he's limited to start this week because I guess we didn't know what full week of practice meant. Except
is he already counted out now because he's only limited? Or
they're indicating that they're both taking reps, right? Which would suggest that they haven't made a decision yet. Which would then further suggest that a full week of practice does not mean completely able to practice for every day of that week.
Yeah, it sounds like Wentz, if needed, would be ready to go. He's been a full participant. Kevin O'Connell even said basically, he can tough that one out. It's not his throwing shoulder. They'll, inject him with whatever they'll inject him with and say, get out there. But McCarthy feels like it would be a true questionable ankle-wise still. He even went up in front of the media and said, he's not 100%. He's limited in practice. And then I think with the comments last week about like needing a full week, O'Connell went on to explain, like, if he's cleared on Saturday, we're not putting him in without practicing. That's how the Atlanta game happened. We're not going to do that again. I think being limited should be considered good enough because you're in the game plan, you're getting reps, you're not trying to play catch up the night before on what the game plan was because you spent all week like just on the side field rehabbing. Like you're there, you're doing your thing. You're just maybe sitting out a drill here or there. So I think limited practice would count, but I just don't think we're like super out of the woods on the ankle, and they're not going to make him play through it like so many other quarterbacks have with those high ankle sprains.
Well, also the fact that you got a short week traveling West Coast on Thursday night to LA, maybe knowing that he's still trying to fight to 100%, maybe that just doesn't feel like the ideal time, I guess, to kind of throw him back to the Wolves as well.
If he's healthy, he's healthy. If he's not, he's not.
If he's healthy, he's healthy.
I think that's primarily it. And he did mention, was it yesterday? I'm losing track of time. I didn't sleep last night. But he did mention yesterday, the day before, that some of it is just like the mechanical process. If he's back to the throwing motion and the throwing process that they had been drilling into him this offseason, that they wanted to see coming out of the gate to begin the year, if he's back there, that might be kind of part of it too. So the injury may not be about re-aggravation. It may not be about pain tolerance or pain management, because you can get around pain management. It might just be about your movement capability coming
mobility,
yeah. And
like
so
flexibility, range of motion, which ankle sprains are going to mess with.
Right, of course. And, specifically if you're stepping into throws and planting off the foot incorrectly or whatever, then that's going to change how you throw. And so that's like just a performance concern more than it is a re-injury concern, which it should be noted in Matt Freese's piece on deciding between the two quarterbacks. He listed a couple of quarterbacks that have played through a high ankle sprain, and I added a couple more. And one of those quarterbacks re-injured his ankle. I think it was Trevor Lawrence. Re-injured his ankle in the game. It was against the Steelers. It might have been last year. But he was clear he had a high ankle sprain. He was clear to play. He acknowledged he was not 100%. He played through it, and he re-injured his ankle. And so that is a concern. But I think the primary concern is probably just a performance, like, is he able to throw through it?
Does it bother you at all that I'm just combing through the KOC transcript here, and he was talking about, like you pointed out, working a little bit more one-on-one the past week with his feet, the base mechanics. Again, sounds like a lot of that's stemming from the ankle injury, but just doesn't seem ideal, I guess, a year and a half in, knowing that he's only had one full week. Is that right? One full week of practice. Reps leading up,
because
and no practice on that last year. So this is the stuff.
Either.
This is the stuff the injury takes away.
Yeah,
right.
If it were he doesn't understand like what to do on flag concepts, that would be much more concerning. This is the stuff that when you're rehabbing a knee, you can't work on.
Yeah.
So it does get suspended in midair. I don't think I would characterize it as, oh no, what a big problem 2 years into his career. He has had like 7 full regular season practices.
Crazy. It's kind of crazy. Yeah. So saying all that, it feels like, why would we not lean Wentz, by the way?
I think it will be Wentz. We just don't know for sure. If he's full participation here on Thursdays, then you're going,
that could change
probably
things
a little
for
more
sure.
healthy. It could change things, but
I'm
certainly feels like we're trending toward being a little extra cautious and throwing in Wentz.
Yeah, for sure. 60, 40, 65, 35. Right now, it's just what I'm personally leaning. Just going after, off this transcript. And in the transcript, you mentioned that he said, trying to find the exact quote, both guys took reps. Did he say first team reps? Second, splitting first team reps? This guy was first, this guy was second?
It sounds like it was a split. Describing it.
And it is important to understand, like, when we talk about like reps in practice, like during the season, 95% of the quote unquote reps are first team. Very rarely.
Yeah, it's not camp.
And because like the second team, like those people are maybe rotating in a little bit, but they're doing like scout team stuff. Like especially at quarterback, a lot of it is just it's just first team stuff. So if you split reps, to me in my brain, unless someone makes a designation, very specific to it. To me, that means splitting quote first team reps with the starting offensive line, the starting receivers, and so on.
We'll get into the biggest matchups here in a few minutes next segment. But if it is Wentz, what's like the one thing that you're kind of dialed into, that you're kind of looking for? You know, Wentz is going to have the, you know, if he does start, the revenge game factor, the juices are going to be flowing, all that stuff. But just going off the 3-game sample of film we got, what's like the one, maybe two things you really want to see just improve a little bit more, or some more development, whatever it may be at the quarterback position, if it is, in fact, Carson Wentz?
I want to see more diversity in the play calls.
Yes, exact same thing.
Yeah. It's so let's say JJ McCarthy was on IR for this, which would have been about the same timeline. And so there were no question. The whole story would be, okay, Carson Wentz doesn't really know a lot of the offense because he got here after cut down day. He didn't have camp.
He's no TJ Hawkinson. He can't just pick up the playbook and go.
He can't just Dobbs this. But now you've had the bye. And all of that time to study, to get things down, I want to see like a more full complement now for Wentz. And I want to see the ball get I want to see it push a little bit more beyond just those go balls when you find Justin Jefferson in single coverage. I want to see it push down the middle a little bit. It can't be the Eagles offense is what basically what yeah, right. Exactly. I want to see a little bit more explosiveness, aggressiveness, and to really have an offense that feels like it's attacking instead of just surviving.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
I understand kind of why the approach has been the way it has been, because there's so much faith in the defense, and I think maybe fairly so.
Yeah,
but
just don't screw it up.
Yeah, but like at some point, the offense has to contribute as opposed to not anti-contribute, I guess, right? They can't just be not an anchor, right? And so at some point the offense has to move the ball down the field. And KOC, his offensive philosophy, I love, right? You know, he talked about this against the Browns, so especially against good defenses, but he was like, hey, yeah, you're going to get a couple of these short throws, but if you keep throwing short, you know, it'll take you 14, 16, 18 plays to get down the field and score. And somewhere in there, especially against the defense as good as the Browns, but somewhere in there, you're going to screw it up. So you need explosives. And he's right. Like, of course you need kind of the, you know, taking a small profit kind of plays, you know, your spider 2 wide banana throw to the fullback in the flat kind of stuff, right? But at some point, you're also going to need a 20-yard dig route. You're going to need a 22-yard fade. You're going to have to, you know, hit the corner route for 25. Like it's somewhere you need explosive. It doesn't have to be 40 yards, but somewhere in there you need explosive to shorten the number of plays and reduce the likelihood that some mistake is going to set you backwards. And for that to happen, you do need a diversity of offense, right? And KOC super understands that. So I wonder kind of what his approach has been to kind of accommodate this unique problem, which, by the way, we talked about this when Carson Wentz signed, right? Which was that Wentz could have signed with the team, from my understanding, back in the summer. And so he could have learned a playbook. And it sounds like...
wanted a challenge.
And it sounds like he chose not to because training camp sucks, right? But there's like a difference between Brett Favre saying training camp sucks, and Carson Wentz saying training camp.
He just thinks he's Brett Favre. I've been saying this about his tape for like a week.
Yeah, he does.
Brett Favre. Stop trying to be Brett Favre.
The thing is, and again, I'm in a spot where I'm complimenting Carson Wentz. I don't want to do that, but it is in opposition to Brett Favre. Brett Favre didn't know what a nickel defense was. That's how vibey he was about everything. Whereas Carson Wentz, I'm sure if you asked him, like, you know, he probably doesn't go second overall if he doesn't know what a nickel defense is. So I guess he's got that, but like definitely like vibes-based quarterbacking. But like, unfortunately, there is a playbook and you do need to know it. And then vibes will only take you so far. As Joshua Dobbs learned, like vibes will only take you so far. And sir, I watched Joshua Dobbs, and you are no Joshua Dobbs.
You are no Joshua. You are no Dobbs sanity. Like, okay, that game-winning drive against the Browns, which is the thing that is buoying Carson Wentz's reputation here as much as anything. I think like 6 of 8 throws went to the flat or something like that. Like it was a whole bunch of
brother.
Like didn't like the concept, get the ball out to the flat. Didn't like the concept, and some of those concepts were designed to go to the flat as well. But like. It was pretty much 5 yards out of bounds, 5 yards out of bounds, 5 yards out of bounds, 5 yards out of bounds. And it worked because the Browns were backing way off because for some reason they treated 3 minutes like it was 30 seconds. And so the Vikings got to basically march down the field pretty much unopposed.
I
would be losing my mind.
Were like, hey, the Vikings are stopping the clock too much.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're leaving too much time. That won't work unless you're in like a 2-minute drill against a defense that's playing it too passively. And you're going to need more tools than that to have like a truly consistent offense that can make the Vikings into a team that matters.
Good segue. Biggest keys to the game versus Philly. Ron Johnson's going to help us with that. That's all coming up right after this. This episode brought to us by Mint Mobile. Are you still overpaying for wireless at Mint Mobile? Their favorite word is no. No contracts, no monthly bills, no overages, no hidden fees, no BS. I said yes to making the switch, and I got premium wireless for just $15 a month, and Mint makes it so simple. All plans, they come with a high-speed data and unlimited talk and text delivered on the nation's largest 5G network. You can even bring your own phone. You get to keep your same number, same contacts. Personally, I love that you're getting all the same quality service you had before, but for a fraction of the price. The setup, too, it's so easy. Keep your same number, and you're up and running in just a couple minutes. Are you ready to say yes to saying no? Make the switch at mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. That's mintmobile.com/LockedOnNFL. Upfront payment of $45 required. Limited time new customer offer for first 3 months only. Speeds may slow above 35 gigs on unlimited plan. Taxes and fees extra. See Mint Mobile for details. All right, let's bring in the legend, Ron Johnson. Host of the Ron Johnson Show each and every Tuesday. Follow him on X at 3RonJohnson. Ron, we were just talking, starting to dive into, I guess, the biggest matchups to watch or kind of dial into this Sunday if the Vikings are going to find a way to win versus the Eagles. What's the number one biggest matchup or key to this game that you're kind of dialed into right now?
I'm looking at the Vikings front seven versus the Eagles. When you watch Jalen Hurts, there hasn't been a ton of run game when it comes to Saquon Barkley. It looks like they want to put the ball into Jalen Hurts' hands a little bit more. And so he's only thrown one interception this season, and the interception came on a 7-man pressure. And so that's the thing when you look at that front seven versus the Vikings. And they blitzed Tyler Nubin on that. Like, they're bringing pressure a lot. And that was the Giants game. Former Gopher. Shout out to Tyler Nubin. But that's the one thing that I'm paying attention to is how often does Brian Flores try to make Jalen Hurts get the ball out of his hands quicker than he wants to. The biggest issue is that's his one interception. So I'm pretty sure he deep dived that play and he's going to realize, like, dang it, I could have hit a wide open A.J. Brown on an over route because nobody, they play, basically zero coverage. And that's where Flores has to play that game. How can he make it look like he's coming when he doesn't? If you go back to the Corey Parrish interception that Luke and I broke down on the Gophers postcast, same thing. Corey Parrish walked up into the box. Purdue's quarterback thought he had blitzed. That's why he threw that stop route, and Corey Parrish was just waiting there in the linebacker level. So it's the same thing in the NFL with making these quarterbacks think the guys aren't there. It's not a joke to say they saw ghosts. But that's what you kind of got to make them do. You got to make them feel like there's pressure coming when it's not. And then when it's only a 5-man pressure, make them feel like it's 7 that's coming. Like he has to feel pressure. If he's able to sit in the pocket, and that's the teams he picked apart, he can pick you apart because he's calm, he's cool, he knows he can run the ball if you get too close to him with 5 guys. So that's the matchup I'm looking at. That front 7 of the Vikings defense, adding Josh Metellus to that with the Eagles front 5, and then they add Barkley into that blitz protection as well. And how can they handle that matchup?
Yeah, key to that, getting Blake Cashman, which he was a full participant yesterday. Obviously, that would be huge. Arif, what do you got for Ron Johnson today?
Another former Gopher, by the way.
Yeah, Gophers all over the field, man.
They're littered all over the league.
Let's get Brosmer in. Let's make this a real QB controversy.
Real QB controversy.
Let's do it.
Time. Jalen Hurts has struggled against the blitz his entire career without pressure. I love that. One thing that's really curious, and one thing a lot of people have been talking about with the Eagles offense this year, is how rarely they throw it into the intermediate area of the field, 10 to 19 yards. And Ben Solak looked at it, ESPN Stats and Info, that tiny nerd found that this was the least any quarterback has thrown into the 10 to 19 yard window downfield in their database going back to like 2015, right? So, or was it 2010 actually? It goes way back. 2010. It goes way back. No quarterback has thrown this little into the intermediate area of the field. The two closest quarterbacks were Russell Wilson in Denver and Russell Wilson in Pittsburgh. Like this lack of diversity where they only throw short or deep. How do the Vikings kind of take that information and exploit it?
Yeah, so that's funny you bring that up, Arif. So that's our Vikings Game Day Live. That's our play breakdown this week. And so we're breaking down basically so they want us to do like the good, the bad, and the ugly of Jalen Hurts. And there is no bad. It's just good or ugly. And it's kind of weird. And I think that's part of it. It's the lack of intermediate route running. It's the lack of, and I will say this though, like so that stat, right? When you look at their seam routes, quote unquote, they run a lot of 4 verticals. They run double seam with hitches or double seam with the outside guys run like they basically look at zone versus man. If it's man, hey, pull that guy up. Let's make that safety play over the top a little bit more. When you look at the Bucs game, Antoine Winfield kept getting caught watching A.J. Brown, and A.J. Brown was a decoy, and that's probably why A.J. Brown's pissed off. Like honestly, I get it. When you watch some of the routes he has to run, he is a decoy to pull that safety away from the tight end, or he's a decoy to pull that linebacker out of there for the deep over behind him. And he's like, "Hey man, just throw me the ball." And it's a little selfish. We receivers are selfish, but their seam routes, quote unquote, even though they are hitting at that 20-yard depth, I kind of watch the way he throws it and the way he's reading it. He's treating it like an intermediate because he's on like 3 steps, hitch, and a throw. So he knows where he's going pre-snap kind of, and he's hoping that the look is where it's at. And both times that the 2 plays we did, which is one, the Rams game, it was a touchdown up the seam, same look, linebackers didn't drop deep enough. And then the Buccaneers, the dropping Mike, because we know they play Tampa 2. There's been Tony Dungy's Tampa 2, which is, way back when, the Dick Vermeil's Tampa 2, ever since Tony Dungy was there.
Also, former Gopher.
Yep, former Gopher. But that Tampa 2, what the Bucs linebacker did was when he dropped, his vision was to the field, not to the boundary. And so Jalen Hurts just played that and said, you know what, even if I throw it, you're closer to the boundary, but if I throw it, you can't flip your hips and make a play, but because you're facing my field seam route, which was the other slot receiver, you can probably run and get to it because you're watching me. And so Jalen Hurts does a great job. And because of that, Antoine Winfield's thinking like, okay, this linebacker's closer. So he played closer to the potential quarters or half side of the field, further to the sideline, just in case there was a rail shot. And Jalen Hurts layered it perfectly, threw it over the top. I think Dallas Goedert caught it, but got hit in the knees by Antoine Winfield. Didn't blow his ACL out. Wasn't a Dallas, a Detroit Lions safety type of hit. But he did hit him low in the knees, and the guy came out the game. But I look at that as a little bit of an intermediate throw because it's not a true deep shot. Like it's literally right at like 20 yards. He's 3-step hitch throw, and it's on time. He watches both safeties, and he's throwing it. So I understand the true nerd stat of it, of it's exactly 20 yards, so it's not that 19-11. But they are treating their seams like an intermediate route because of how quick he gets it out of his hands. He's not throwing it 25 yards down the field. When the receiver's at like 15 yards, he's letting the ball go. And so in his mind, I think that's their intermediate game, is like, it's not deep seams. It's let's get up on these linebackers because the safeties are playing so wide. And so, again, I think that's where Brian Flores' 3 safety look is going to give them trouble, because Josh Metellus can drop a lot faster, or Theo Jackson can drop a lot faster than a normal backer would. And that's where I hope that the Vikings take advantage of that, because he loves the seam route. He loves to make you think of he's going to go one way and come back the other. And Peyton Manning told this story once. I saw it live in living color. It's nuts. But Ed Reed would do where he would run back as if he's going to run to the middle. And the minute you throw, he just flips his hips. He knows exactly where you're throwing it. He flips his hips and he goes and makes the interception. And Peyton Manning said, like, Ed Reed set me up. And even when I threw it, I knew it was too late. And Tom Brady said the same thing, that Ed Reed would do that. Harrison Smith, we know, is good at it. Is Harrison Smith still the Harrison Smith of, 2018, 2017, that has the speed to flip his hips and get over there and make that interception? Because that's what you have to do. You have to drop like that linebacker did for the Bucs. And the minute it's thrown, you just got to flip your hips knowing where it's going. It's going to the backside seam. And that's where guys like Ed Reed would pick it off. can the Vikings make Jalen Hurts do that? So to your long answer to your question, Arif, I think their seams are their intermediate. Like, I just think that's the way it's designed, that's how they don't attack it with digs. They don't attack it with like deep overs. I don't know why. I don't know why they don't run 15-yard dig routes with the receivers they have, but that's Nick Sirianni's offense.
Yeah, on the crossover that went up this morning with Louis DiBiase, he's like very upset with the offensive coordinator for reasons like that. They're and apparently this is a bit of a pattern for the Eagles. Like, after a year where they go to the Super Bowl, their staff gets poached and the replacement always is not long for this world. But there's a stat that kind of plays into what you were talking about there.
I feel so bad for them.
Yeah. There's a stat that plays into what you were talking about, Ron. It's the one I teased at the beginning of the show. It's from Tyler Forness, who published an article about stopping Jalen Hurts this morning. They have been blitzed 71 times so far this year. Half of them have been man, half of them have been zone blitzes. On the zone blitzes, EPA per play minus 0.32. That's a dreadful number. That's really, really bad. That's close to JJ McCarthy's number that we've been talking about so much. When it's man, 0.26, it works out a lot better. So my question, I guess, is how different does it get as an offense attacking when you're with whatever your blitz counter is versus zone or man, and how can the difference be that stark?
So you're talking about the expected play, right? Is that what EPA? That's what you said,
EPA success rate. It's all yards per, however you want to measure it. They've been way, way, way bad against zone blitzes and pretty good against man blitzes.
Yeah. So the reason is because here's the thing though. So the Giants was the anomaly. Like that blitz was a man blitz. And he read it wrong. I think he read it like it was zone, and he assumed all the DBs were, because they were kind of in the red zone. I think he assumed all the DBs were going to play like a quarters kind of shell and back off, and he thought he had the quick out. Well, everybody was up pressed, and the backside throw was the throw in zero coverage, man. And so the Giants, I think, played opposite of that, of his thoughts of like, okay, they're going to drop into a zone. Let me look at my tight end, hold the safety, and then I'm going to take the out route just to give me 5 yards to get closer for maybe a tush push. Well, the Giants were all over that. They were like, nope, I want you guys to sit at the 5-yard line. Don't move. If they beat us in the end zone, make them beat us in the end zone. And I think that's what teams are thinking. Like, and one, they played the averages of like, he hasn't watched A.J. Brown much. I don't know what's going on with them. I don't know if, his tweets and some of the stuff he's saying, Jalen Hurts is taking it personal, because he could say it's the offense, but then Jalen Hurts probably knows, like, it's not the offense. Like, I could go to him, but I didn't think he was open. Like, there's some personal to that too. So as much as people want to act like this is a business, there's feelings that get hurt. Like, dudes can get pissed off, and you don't want to piss your quarterback off, the person that can pay you and get you paid. And so when I look at zone versus man, Luke, the biggest difference that I'm seeing on film, just in I already watched like 3 games, is that Jalen Hurts is when he feels that there's a blitz, because you'll see him, like when guys walk up, he does a little, like one of the plays, he kind of does a little, I don't know what he's doing, but he's telling the guy something. You see the offensive guard put his hand on the center, which I think he's saying, hey, he's not ready yet. Hold on. When he removes his hand, then it's like, okay, he's ready. Now we can start doing what we do, and then let's go. Well, on that play, Jalen Hurts had it perfect. They dropped to zone, and he hit the under route. He just took the easy under route, because he's like, I'm not going to try to fit this into a tight window. Hey, go get me a first down. I'm going to throw it to you, 6 yards. Try to go run a guy over, get me 12, 16 yards, and the tight end did it. When you look at man, oftentimes I think that's where he just assumes, okay, I'm going to go to my one weapon. And I'm guessing he's kind of missing sometimes of what's zone, what's man. And some of these defensive coordinators, and Flores does it too, they're doing a great job of making it look like zone, because they just have 2 high safeties, and they end up still being man underneath. And that's how Jalen Hurts, and that's how Jalen Hurts is getting screwed up a little bit. I think zone sometimes is easy because he kind of knows what's going on, and man, he's making the mistake of just not going to A.J. Brown. I think that's my honest opinion. If I have man, and the games he does it, you can tell A.J. Brown's pissed off that he hadn't been doing it sooner, because every time he catches it, he kind of does the like look at the camera like, I told you I'm that guy, and then walks off. And then he goes and grabs his book and sits down on the bench.
Yeah, I was about to say. Yeah.
Which is, I mean, if he's really reading, fine. But I just feel like that's such a thing now. Like it's a bit. He knows reading? It's a bit.
Well, yeah, because he knows that like the camera's going to be on him.
Exactly.
They know that he's going to be.
He times it out every minute. He turns the page.
He does it. He did it one time, I think, because he truly was bored because the game was a blowout, and then I think it became a bit. Like people talked about it. He does probably have it over there just in case that they're going to take their shoulder pads off. It works.
Could be a boy who cried wolf.
It works when you're winning. It doesn't work when you're whining to the media that you're not getting the ball. And so I think that's part of it with him is that he's not getting the ball in man coverage because I forgot who did the game. I was watching the announcer, but the announcer said it. He's like, hey, if I have man-to-man with AJ, I think it might have been Tom Brady. It might have been Brady. It might have been Brady covering the game. But he was like, if I have man-to-man, it was a quarterback. But because he said, if I have man-to-man, I'm throwing it. We know it wasn't Mark Sanchez. But it was probably Brady. But he's like, if I have man-to-man coverage, I'm throwing it to AJ Brown every time. That's all that is. And he was completely covered on a fade route. He threw a back shoulder. AJ Brown turns and catches. Next one, he throws over the top. AJ Brown catches it. And then the next play, he throws it to the tight end because the safety ran over the top. And that's the play breakdown I'm doing is that he's going to go to AJ Brown, but don't think he's going to keep doing it. Eventually, they're going to set you up with something else where AJ Brown is the decoy and the touchdown or the deep shots coming from somebody in the slot because the safeties are going to, they're playing help coverage to help out, the corner. And that's what I think is going on. He just doesn't recognize a man right away. I got to go to AJ Brown. I don't know what he's thinking. And it could be Cam Newton. I mean, honestly, Cam Newton said he wasn't the best quarterback out there. Maybe he's trying to because they're going 5 wides a lot now. Where Saquon Barkley 6 carries in a game is asinine for Saquon Barkley. So that's the other thing. I wonder is how much of that is like, hey, they said AJ or Jalen Hurts is not that good. Can we make him a true 5 wide Patrick Mahomes passer and show the world he can throw the ball?
What's your gut say, Ron? Carson Wentz revenge game this Sunday or JJ McCarthy makes his return?
Man, I have no clue. This is one of those weeks where literally Max Brosmer could start and I'd be like, hey, I see why. I just don't know.
I get it.
I mean, he was a limited participant, which means he wasn't full go. So that's why it's stupid. If he was full go, I'd be like, yep. The fact that he was limited and he's been out for 4 weeks now, that concerns me. To be out for 4 weeks and still be limited this week just means he's not fully healthy. So I see this. Yeah, I do kind of see that as a Carson Wentz revenge game. Also, though, if as a coach, if you send him out there and say, hey, you're only going to do individual 7-on-7, and then I'm going to pull you out of the team because I don't want anybody stepping on you, then the media has to put or whatever, PR has to put limited because he didn't do all the plays. That's the only reason I could see is Kevin O'Connell wants to mess with Sirianni and just say, hey, he's going to be limited all week. And then all of a sudden, Friday or Saturday, he's going to be elevated or he's going to be a full participant or something. And then we'll kind of have our answer. I think Friday's injury report should tell it. If he's still limited Friday, then it's Carson Wentz.
Yeah.
And I'm annoyed because I bet on the reverse on our show. I bet on it being JJ McCarthy. And so now I'm kind of annoyed.
You asked me 2 weeks ago, I would have said JJ McCarthy starts this week versus Philly coming out of the bye.
Right.
You asked me today, it feels like every day that passes, it feels more and more like Carson Wentz.
And the offensive line, too, though. Who's going to be healthy in the offensive line? Because I saw Donovan Jackson still limited.
Brian O'Neill's limited.
Limited.
A week or two away still.
So, do you want to throw JJ McCarthy back out there with that line, or do you want to just let Carson Wentz handle it? Because, hey.
Well, he does have the Jordan Addison factor this time.
You send your pawns out there and let your pawns take the beating.
I don't think you do that unless it's the preseason. I think if he's healthy and he's your starter, he plays.
I hope so. I mean, I don't know.
If you start coming up with other reasons to bring your starting quarterback out, he's not your starting quarterback anymore.
Correct. And that's where I go with that, Luke. Were we sold fool's gold? Is that Falcons game what we're going to get the rest of the season with JJ McCarthy? Wow. Who's going to want him? Who wants him?
You're benching him for a dude
Anthony Richardson.
You're
the
benching
Browns?
him 25th best quarterback in the league. Trade him. It's over.
Trade him to the Browns? Who wants him?
Check him out every Tuesday. Ron Johnson Show. Give him a follow on X at 3Ron Johnson. Ron, great stuff per usual. Always appreciate you stopping by. I'll talk to you after the Gophers game Friday versus Nebraska.
Night.
We'll talk to you Sunday.
Hopefully I'll be doing the post-game show from the field because we're going to be storming the field after they beat Nebraska.
Can't wait. Ron Johnson, ladies and gentlemen. Again, give him a follow on X at 3Ron Johnson. Thanks a lot, Ron.
Appreciate it.
Always good stuff from Ron Johnson. One more quick segment coming up. What happens to the guys like Eric Wilson, Xavier Scott, Dallas Turner? What happens to these guys when the starters return from injury? That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode also brought to us by Built. Nobody likes paying for rent, but if you gotta, then you might as well get something for it. That's where Built comes in. Built's changing the game by turning your rent into rewards you can actually use. When you pay rent through Built, you earn flexible points that can be redeemed toward hundreds of hotels, airlines, future rent payment, your next Lyft ride, and more. But Built isn't just about rent. It's about rewarding you around your entire neighborhood. Personally, I love the fact that with Built, your rent finally starts working for you. You're earning points every month on something you already have to pay for. Built finally has made everyday life feel more rewarding, from the neighborhood to travel plans. Turn your rent into rewards and start earning points around your neighborhood by going to joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. That's joinbuilt.com/LockedOnNFL. Use the link so they know we sent you. All right, we tapped into it with Ron, but I just want your number one top thing you're dialed into matchup versus Philly. A Philly team, by the way, it feels a little broken. I mean, you kind of talk about the offensive coordinator, but defensively too, they've been really banged up. It does look like Jalen Carter could come back this week. That's huge for them. They could get Quinyon Mitchell back as well. That's also huge. But injuries have played a big part of their early struggles. You talked about the struggles offensively. Arif, kick us off. Number one matchup you just dialed into this Sunday against Philly, if the Vikings are going to pull this one out.
Whoever against Keely Ringo. I just feel like
just keep
that's
if Keely Ringo's in.
Yeah.
If Quinyon Mitchell plays,
that's a substantially different question. But if Keely Ringo is in, that's you just keep figuring that out until they start rotating both safeties over or something. And now you've got like Justin Jefferson free on the other side, right? You're fine. So that's going to be the primary matchup I look at. I am kind of curious about the fact that the pass rush hasn't been that productive for them, but I don't want to hone in on that just in case this is a get right game for that. So
yeah, on the crossover with Louis, he complained a little bit about that. They're just kind of not winning with 4 enough.
Is that a Nolan Smith? Did he mention Nolan Smith at all? Is that a Nolan Smith factor since he's been on the IR?
Been good against the run.
He's been great against the run. I don't know.
But it's also missing Jalen Carter for a lot of that, and kind of getting really banged up on the edges. So they've had their issues. I'm gonna do an abstract answer to your question because I don't know if it's like a personnel matchup, but the Vikings have been a dreadful first half team. I think they've scored more than 6 in the first half once, and it was the Bengals game, I think. It's horrible. The Eagles have been a horrible second half team. They let comeback efforts happen against the Broncos. They fell apart in the second half against the Giants. They haven't been the second half team that we kind of got used to the Eagles being, where they roll you over. And a lot of that is their issues in the run game and what's going on with Saquon and all that. Is he beat up and washed or whatever? But I feel like this game kind of comes down to, if the Eagles get a lead in the first half, like everybody else has on the Vikings, which I just kind of have come to expect at this point.
Yeah.
Do they blow it like they blew it before?
That's the matchup?
The matchup is first half team versus second half team. Yeah.
Okay.
It's an abstract answer, but you know what? Yeah. I can't take it back now. We're live. No, deal with it.
Can't take it back. We're live. Jalen Hurts, he can beat you throwing the ball, like Ron kind of pointed out. He's either great or it's really ugly. It's not how they want to play, though. It's not what they do best. It's not what they feel most comfortable at. Last Thursday against the Giants, he had, let me pull it up, 33 pass attempts. Last year, he only averaged 24 pass attempts per game. Play action game as well with them, kind of non-existent too, I noticed for some reason. 19% play action rate on dropbacks. Almost dead last, 31st in the league. Big key to this game is cliche and, obvious as it is, stopping Saquon. Is this a get-right game for Saquon? That's what worries me. Forcing them to kind of play into their weakness and your biggest strength, which is your pass defense. And a big key to that, you got to win on first and second down, man. They are so deadly on like 3rd and 3 because they just do the tush push twice and like the 90% success rate. So especially against this leaky run defense, hopefully Blake Cashman coming back, that'll make a huge difference.
What about that?
winning on
what if we
first
had
and
the
second?
exact success rate?
Yeah.
Crazy.
It's 80 actually, which is about all QB sneaks. But hey, what if you wanted to read 3,000 words and most of them were about football?
Go do
Actually,
it.
I don't even know if
I don't know if most actually.
Most of them are about football. Not most of them are about modern current football.
Okay, yeah, fair enough. But yeah, okay, you got to keep about a short distance because they know how to exploit short distance, whether that is kind of by a trick of the numbers or otherwise, right? It is kind of curious to me how poor they have been at running the ball, and I think that this is like an offensive coordinator problem. But I think that I don't know, like they've been running Jalen Hurts, which is kind of funny because I think at the very first game of the season, they like ran him a decent amount and everyone's like, it's back. Jalen Hurts running the ball is back, and it just hasn't happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel like if you're not employing that threat, you're kind of limiting the possibilities for your running back. And I think that might be the key to producing these like devastating third down possibilities. It's kind of weird to talk about this team because like you take a look at this offense on paper and it's just like incredible player after incredible player, like all pro bowl. And if it's not one of those, it's a guy as good as like Devonta Smith, right? Which is like, if that's like the worst skill player you have, you're in an outstanding spot. But the production just like kind of hasn't been there. So I think schematically that's something. And the problem is when you're previewing a team and you're talking about kind of what that team has the capability of doing. Sure, you'll talk about like tendencies and stuff like that, but there's always like in the back of your mind, you're always like, well, what if they fix this? Because they have the talent.
Right.
What if they fix this? And so, yeah, obviously the Vikings do want to make sure that the third downs are not sneakable, I guess is the best way to put it. And so they're going to be playing essentially on 1st and 9 the whole time, which has always been kind of the secret sauce to the Eagles this whole time is that they get to start every down series on 1st and 9. But yeah, like I think that the Vikings kind of outside of seeing kind of a schematic wrinkle worth exploiting, the Vikings staying kind of true to who they are and within themselves, I think matches up really well with what the Eagles do poorly. Zone blitzes, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's tough for them. Generally speaking, there's been a lot of discussion about an inability to produce against zone coverage. The route concepts that they tend to favor are generally ones well covered by the Vikings. A lot of go routes, a lot of curls, a lot of routes that are more well covered by having your eyes on the quarterback in the kind of the short intermediate range, and then you just have that in the deep range. So I don't know. The Vikings schematically from the prior version of the Eagles this year match up really, really well. It's really just kind of like a Jimmy's and Joe's question after that, which I don't feel comfortable about that.
Key injury news. Hopefully we'll glean more from today's injury report. I'm sure we will. But as of right now, just based off yesterday's practice report, again, Blake Cashman looks like a full go. Hopefully they get him back. Andrew Van Ginkel still limited with that neck. Brian O'Neill was limited. Donovan Jackson was limited. Michael Juergens was a full go. I guess my question is, what happens to the guys who filled in kind of admirably in their absence? Guys like Blake Brandel, right? We've talked a lot about him this week. Eric Wilson. It doesn't feel fair to like take Dallas Turner off the field even when Van Gink returns. Start with the offensive line, though. Like, let's say Juergens and Donovan Jackson are healthy. O'Neill, for me, feels like a just knowing how much they probably are going to baby that knee, probably feels another week or two away. But what's your starting five look? Is Blake Brandel still in that mix?
He could play center instead of Michael Juergens.
I think he should.
Like that's I think worth considering for sure.
It's worth considering. I'm still skeptical because it's just like the one game sample, but it is certainly worth considering.
Sure. Yeah, you're at least asking, right? I kind of am with you. Like, I don't think they will, but they might consider it. Otherwise, I don't know. There's pride in just being the guy that can play all five positions that goes in the next time someone goes down. You think we're done with O-line injuries?
So valuable.
You seen this sport before? You think we're done? You think this is it?
How many combinations
all five getting
now?
healthy?
What are we at?
No,
14?
That's not happening.
Yeah, it's so what happens to those guys? They get incredible performance-based bonuses mandated by their contract at the end of the season. Good for them.
True.
But I mean, they'll figure out how to put like an Andrew Van Ginkel, Dallas Turner, or whatever set together. That defensively,
that was a plan to begin with.
Yeah, that won't be difficult to figure out. Offensively, with this offensive line kind of situation, it's just like, hey, you have a guy that plays 5 positions. He's going to be your kind of go-to. Just in school for a while, is going to hang out. But yeah, like just be comfortable in the fact that you got one over the best defensive line in the NFL with 4 backups in the fourth. Well, backup in the fourth quarter. Like be happy with that and take that confidence with you going forward. But you don't have to change who your starting 5 are, assuming that Ryan Kelly ever comes back from IR. But like that's kind of, you just take that with you.
I think Dallas Turner is obviously a big part of this equation too. Flipping back to the defense or the front 7, what kind of adjustments, I guess, would you like to see Brian Flores make with the front 7 personnel? Because we talked a lot about the run defense. I got into why we're running so much 3 safety looks. Let's get some more beef in there and big bodies. But any adjustments you'd like to see Brian Flores make with this front 7 personnel?
What is it called when it's like one linebacker on the field, penny front or something?
Yeah.
Let's do that. And it's Blake Cashman. Sorry, Ivan Pace. We love you, but like, sorry. And then Andrew Van Ginkel and Dallas Turner and 3 safety. Don't worry about it. Like, I throw all of them out.
Just put your best players out there and let somebody go make a play.
And you take Javon Hargrave off the field, put Jalen Redmond there. It's everybody's happy.
Everybody. No losers in this scenario. Not the people that lose playing time.
And then call the Dallas Turner sack plays so that Sam doesn't get mad at us next Monday or something.
Big mad about that Dallas Turner.
Dallas Turner in the games where Van Ginkel's been out has essentially assumed that role, right, and just been the edge rusher.
He's dropped back a lot in coverage. I saw the numbers the other day. He's dropped back into coverage a lot.
Yeah, a lot more when Van Ginkel is in. So when Van Ginkel is in, he takes that edge rusher role, and Dallas Turner kind of becomes Anthony Barr, or what we wanted Anthony Barr to be when everybody was asking him to move to edge rusher. This is kind of the role that would have looked like. So that's probably it. Now he's roaming around the formation and blitzing from wherever, and who knows what's happening, trying to make it that much harder. And especially with like what Ron was talking about with Jalen Hurts and pre-snap, that can be yet another tool to muddy the pre-snap look, take that away from him. And then
I think the Vikings rotate their coverages at like a 35% clip, which to me in my head is like the optimal. It's really high compared to the rest of the league, like pre-snap versus like post-snap rotation. Because I feel like if you do it at like a 60% rate or something like that, you're just telling them actually it's the other look, and that's actually not much of a disguise. And so you're just putting your guys in a bad position. But in terms of like the rate at which they rotate versus the rate at which they blow a coverage, just insane execution capability. And I think that's going to be kind of the MO against somebody like Jalen Hurts, who, isn't bad at reading defenses or anything like that, but clearly slows down a little bit when there's like a little bit more to identify.
How about Xavier Scott? I mean, Aaron Jones probably on his way back in the next few weeks or so. Does he at least leapfrog somebody like Ty Chandler? Should he be in the discussion for that running back?
Ty Chandler back?
Is Ty Chandler back?
He's still I don't know.
Xavier Scott's RB3 to be. I don't. But I don't know. Like Aaron Jones, I'm curious kind of how they're going to treat that. Like I assume that Jordan Mason's going to get the bulk of the carries. He's just been such an outstanding player. Yeah. I'm curious how they treat Aaron Jones, given that Xavier Scott has been kind of nice with it. But Aaron Jones like knows pass protection, which feels important.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron Jones downfield receiver, I guess, is what we're doing now.
Yeah, just wheel routes.
Sure. He seems decent at that. I mean, we tried Xavier Scott downfield receiver too. We'll try anything.
Yeah. They apparently want to send the running back a lot. So I guess that was like what Aaron Jones primarily
saw that
did
in training camp. Remember the one viral video of Aaron Jones and JJ?
I guess that's what we're doing with him.
That's what.
Xavier Scott's probably just back to special teams.
Yeah.
And then we say thank you.
But he seems to be doing a bang up job. So
sometimes.
Another great pick by Kwesi. Added to the resume. Final segment coming up. Weekly gambling picks. That's all coming up right after this. Quick reminder, today's episode brought to us by Mazda. Mazda crafts cars for those who do more than just move. From footwork to breath work, athletes sweat all the details. Mazda brings the same blueprint to how they craft every model. Plus, with all-wheel drive standard in every crossover SUV, you can drive with confidence through almost any and every season imaginable. Like all players, we sweat every detail because when you make every move count, impossible becomes irrelevant. Mazda, move and be moved. All right, final segment here. Might have to wing this one as we talked pre-show. Let's get into what we all came here to see and listen to, I guess, the weekly gambling picks, giving away money, making you rich. Same bit as last week. Arif, how's the view up there on Cash Mountain? Enjoying yourself way up there in first place by a mile right now, over $2,000. Meanwhile, us three, Inman, Braun, Sam, all kind of fighting at the bottom, trying to just survive, I guess. Survive in advance week to week. Let's see
we
the
still
latest...
don't have the player props.
No player props.
We're
that's
too
what I
early
was
in the
going to
week
get
for
into. I will. I have Sam's picks now. Again, I spoiled them already before the show. But Barkley and Addison over. So we'll find out what those are. Barkley and Addison over. I can actually make one of my picks. I think you
can we all just do that and just say like whatever the number is?
Yeah, well, I don't even need a player prop is what I'm saying. I'm going Vikings to win 1-6. That's plus 310. So I don't need a player prop winning margin. Vikings to win 1-10. Now I will say it's not me first. So I don't, unless one of you guys are going to snipe that. It's Braun first.
It's Braun first, and then I'm last, and I get the snake, right?
All right. What's Vikings to lose 1-6? Is that
that is
because I can't do my money line
300.
thing.
That's plus
Plus 300 Vikings to lose 1-6.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think my
careful, dude. They're addicting. Been doing this for years.
I can't do my usual RJ because the Vikings aren't favored for the first time this year. Which, by the way, that's insane, right? The Vikings have been favored all 5 games so far, and they're finally underdogs for the first time. So I got to change
underdogs every
for like
game except
a month and
Giants,
a half now. Yeah,
and maybe Dallas, depending on what. Anything can change, right? You lose a quarterback or whatever, but
if they start dropping a lot, they could definitely be.
I'm looking at the schedule. I mean, as of today, and again, anything can change. You lose a quarterback, anything like that. But Giants feel like maybe the only ones they'll be favored. Maybe again, Dallas. Dallas seems very volatile week to week. But yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy. So Eagles 1-6.
Probably even odds on something like a Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown scorer. So I'm probably going to
feel like you always do that when we have Philly. Jalen Hurts.
Yeah.
Anytime touchdown.
Do
we want to wait on the price, or Braun? Do you know what?
I'm going to assume the price is somewhere between plus 110 and minus 120. If it's within that range, I'm very comfortable with it. If we get out of that range, then yeah, I'll change my mind. But
how about minimum, medium, maximum? Supersize it.
I want to do the lowest medium that I can. Whatever that.
I want to do the lowest maximum. Get one of those out of the way for me because I only have 2 left, and I want to exhaust them.
Medium. What'd you say? Lowest maximum?
Yeah, lowest maximum. Yeah, for Jalen Hurts anytime touchdown, so long as it's like pretty close to even odds. And then I'll double that up with Justin Jefferson anytime touchdown, which I assume are lower odds or better odds, right? They pay more, right? I'm not going to take that if it's like a minus anything. I assume it's going to be a plus like 120 or something.
I don't think it'll be plus 120. Maybe like plus 105, 110, but
something. But I'm not going to take a minus odds, that's for sure. But if that's available,
taking it. It's locked in.
That's my taking it, right? Justin Jefferson, and that's going to be minimum medium.
Minimum medium 280. Minimum medium. All right. Okay. And again, I'm going Vikes to win 1-6 plus 310. It's crazy how Vikings are only getting 10 plus better odds. Eagles are plus 300 to win 1-6. Vikings 1-6 is plus 310. That's it. I feel like it should be getting better value. I'm gonna go max medium 489.99 on that.
Max medium. All right.
So if this is this is like a down to the wire game, me and Luke are gonna be sweating.
That's gonna be fun.
A tie.
Yeah, a tie and we all lose. Yeah. Well, we deserve that.
Yeah, no. So I think like cosmically, I think we deserve a tie, but also for the bets too. I think that, yeah.
Coming back, my second pick, lowest scoring quarter, third quarter, plus 230. Eagles are going to come out with this 9-minute, 13-play drive out of halftime. Lowest scoring quarter, plus 230.
That's crazy, dude.
Crystal ball, man. Get one. Get one.
Get
one, dude.
I'm gonna be so mad if that hits.
I'm gonna go max medium again. 49.99.
Another max medium, man. You're addicted.
I'm addicted. Okay,
You're addicted
back
to these
to Sam again. Addison over. Luke, your last pick. What do you got?
I'm going to do the same $280 on a parlay of the Eagles minus 1.5 in the first half and the Vikings plus 1.5 in the second half.
Oh, you putting your money
building my little first half, second half thing.
Yeah.
Eagles minus 1 in the first half, Vikings minus 1.5.
Actually, I can maybe make this simpler by just doing.
Why would you make it simpler?
First half winners and second half winners.
Sure.
Oh, right, because 1.5. Yeah.
Eagles win the first half.
Nope, can't do that.
What?
They won't let me do that.
Okay.
Anyways, that turned out to plus 200. So Eagles minus 1.5 in the first half to go into halftime with a 2 or more point lead, and then the Vikings
win it by 2 or more
in the second half.
Scores 2 or more in the second half.
Right.
Yeah.
Got it. And you're going 280.
Yeah, that's the lowest medium, right?
That is the lowest medium, correct?
Yep.
Okay, we got them locked in for the most part. We'll confirm Sunday morning, as we always do. A lot of fun, as usual. Do we really? Well, we talk a lot of trash, anyways, on Sunday. Or at least one of us does. It gets the ball.
Whenever I remember what one of my bets is, that becomes the whole.
Jonnu Smith. He 2 more catches. That's basically what the group chat's been the last.
Right. It's just Jonnu Smith. An hour later, I got another one.
Huge shout out to all you guys, all the everydayers out there that always make us your first listen. All you guys coming in the chat with us from show to show. Go check out Luke over on the Locked On Vikings podcast each and every day. Arif always ripping it up over at the Wide Left Substack. Ron Johnson, make sure you check out him each and every Tuesday in the Ron Johnson Show. Follow him on X at 3Ron Johnson. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe. So close to 10,000 subscribers. We'll catch you right here Sunday afternoon, immediately after the Philadelphia game. But until then, send it out.